Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Garden of Ethan. We're like getting up to 20 episodes, which doesn't seem crazy, but like one of my friends, when I was like, I'm gonna do a podcast because I like to chat and I think it would be fun. I think they said something like most podcasts stop after like 10 episodes. So I feel like I'm going strong. I'm feeling good. We did skip a couple of weeks, but it's fun to just like get stuff off your chest, talk about what's going on. It's going to be another one of those, could be a shorter week because nothing's been going on. I'm still somewhat recovering from surgery, as we talked about last week. I'm doing fine. Like, I'm feeling good, feeling stronger every day. But it's one of those things where I'm like, I do have to, I've been like, not using it as an excuse, but I have been having more of a chill time, just focusing on like getting stuff recorded. But also like, it's one of those things where it's happened and I've been trying to give myself time to just like rest and figure things out. But also I want to keep working, which I talked about last week. But then again, I'm like, oh, I gotta keep working, but also rest. I've been using it as a bit of an excuse. I've not seen a lot of my, usually I'll see my friends through the week, but I can't be like, oh, sorry, I'm still recovering. And just having like a me 2 weeks, which has been fun. But I am driving myself a little bit crazy, and I think I do need to start seeing people again. I relish time on my own. Like, I love seeing, I'm very ambiverted. It's something I think, whether extroverts and introverts obviously fall on very different spectrum. I'm very ambiverted. Like, I love and I thrive off people. In certain times and moods, been in social settings, I love to be, the belle of the ball, the main attention. I love like commanding like a group of friends, not like commanding, but commanding attention, telling stories. I love that vibe. But also depends what mood I'm in. I love to be alone. I love to be in the corner of a party and just not talk to anyone. I relish having my time to just do this and do my work and do my passions. Like, I get to do it with y'all, but like, it's also like alone and fun. And not see everyone. It's one of those things where it just kind of depends what mood I'm in. So getting to use surgery as an excuse is kind of fun to just give me a couple of weeks to be like, you know what? I'm going to recharge my social batteries. I'm going to like get some extra work done. And it's just good. And I shouldn't be using it as an excuse. Maybe I should just be like, because it's not like I don't want to see my friends. It's just one of those weeks where I'm like, I'm really enjoying. You ever get those times where you get a couple of weeks and you're just like, I'm really enjoying vibing, like just being like peaceful, doing my own thing at my own pace, not worrying about like, when I've got to get to this, when I've got to do that, what I've got to bring to this, like, I've got to, be in a mood. It's one of those weeks where I'm like, I feel good just doing my own thing. And I think that's something we should all, relish in, have a good time. But that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. We're wearing this, which is also last week I said I don't know if I wore that shirt before. I had. I did not. I looked at the playlist and I guess I'm just blind. Well, I am, like glasses. This is a shirt I know I haven't worn before. It's kind of I don't know if I should have just like buttoned it up, but it's a very strange shirt. I kept it open because I'm like, that kind of like breaks it down a bit. It's like very shiny, very giving pirate with the stripes, but also like bowling. I don't know. I don't know why I bought it. I kind of like it. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a kind of a wild, and it's just so shiny. It's fun and it's strange at the same time. But we're here. Also, long sleeves. I had them rolled up, but they were suffocating my arms. So roll back down, boiling hot. But I was like, it's kind of fun. I love our little like 2-minute fashion corner at the start. But yeah, I'm running out of shirts, man. I think I may have a couple left, and then we'll just have to go t-shirts. We'll just go back to me normally, or I can recycle what we've already done. I'll just wear a shirt. I overthink it to the extreme, but I like the vibe we were going for. It's my one getting, as I have not seen anyone. it's my one getting dressed up for the week, which is fun. But we have a couple of things to talk about. Again, that's where my segue was going about not seeing everyone. I haven't done much. It's one of those weeks because I've been like avoiding things, just focusing things. I haven't done too much. So that's why we don't have the most to talk about. But I have a couple of interesting things, a couple of snippets from life, couple of like exclusive things that I don't even talk about with my friends. It's not that scandalous. Tomorrow, tomorrow I have a job interview, which I haven't had in like 6 years. And it's one of those things where I don't know if anyone does this, but I will not tell anyone about this job interview. Obviously my parents know, and one of my like closest friends know, but for everyone else, I'm like, it's one of those things where like going for a driver's license, it's one of those things where there's the chance of failure, and that's fine. Like, it's like license is a lot easier. Like job interviews are hard to do, and you compete against things, and you're selling yourself. But it's one of those things where you're like, I'm not sad if I fail. I just you don't want to like tell people for them to get, excited or whatnot, and then that not go through. I don't know. It's just that it's not even like I want people to be excited for me, but like that disappointment thing, it's hard to articulate. And I think if you get what I mean, you completely get what I mean. But I have a job interview tomorrow because I love doing this. I love this. This is like the best thing ever. But being an adult is hard, and you need to make money to live, surprisingly. And I've had a long time off. Like, I knew eventually I'd have to go back to the workforce, go be a productive member of society. Even though I would like to think, if I make one person happy with these, that's me being productive, and that actually fills my soul more than anything else is going to, because like I love getting to do, like, when someone enjoys what I do, and I say this and I harp on, but you gotta get sappy sometimes. If someone enjoys any of this, that's like filled my soul. Like, I am so happy. That is what I want to do with life, to be able to entertain in some way. I'm like, if one person likes it, I've achieved what I want to do with like my reactions, podcast, book club, whatever you like watching me for. Gaming, we're streaming on Twitch now, that's fun. But that's that thing. I'm like, that makes me happy. But you need money to live. And so I've been applying for jobs for the last couple of weeks, and they take forever to get back to you because, they're open for so long, and then they go read stuff. So I have a job interview tomorrow, which is kind of wild. And I haven't had a job interview. Like, my last job, I worked at a supermarket for like 5 years. And then I've had a year off. So like the last time I had a job interview was 6 years ago. 6 years ago. I was... Fuck, how old am I? Am I 24? I think I'm 24. I do not remember. I'm too young to not remember how old I am. 6 years ago, I was 18. That was the last time I had a job interview. I was 18. That is what... I'm like a different person completely. That I'm not the same person that I was. Which is kind of... It's scary and it's exciting. Like, I love... Like, obviously, talking, not very hard for me. Can easily do it. Making myself sound like I know what I'm talking about, sometimes that's the hard thing. I don't know. The job interview is a wild process, and like, selling yourself, but also not sounding cocky. And then like, there's so many like ways to think about it, and you want to put your best foot forward and articulate, but you don't want to like overdo. There's so much, like, so many things you have to think about going into them. And they're very interesting, and it's kind of fun. I love it. I hate putting in resumes to places and like cover letters and all that stuff, because like on paper I ain't like the most professional person ever. Even putting on my resume, I was like, I need to explain the gap in my life, and I was like, content and social media. And I was like, can I even say, like, it's what I do and what I love, but like putting it on writing is like wild, because I don't really talk about it that much in life. I do it and I love it, but I don't talk about it that much. So like having that like written down, I was like, wild. And I'm like, are they gonna, like, I'm not been like, are they gonna Google me? But like, are they gonna Google me? Because like, you vet people that you interview, and I'm like, who knows what's gonna happen? But yeah, that I'm kind of like nervous excited because I do love the interview process. It's more like when you get to talk about like, you know, drive and commitment, I can like, that is so, I can do that and I can do, but when they're like, you know, stocks and, you know, when they get really professional, I'm like, what if I just don't know what to talk about? I get scared, but I am kind of excited. It's one of those like turning a new journey and leaf and seeing how to do that. Like this one's a full-time job, which will be very interesting and to see, because obviously I am not planning at all to quit this. Maybe the first couple of weeks we'll have to see how I reschedule myself and how I go, because in my mind I do not in the slightest want to stop this at all, because this is like fun and brings me such joy and happiness, but I think there's going to be a slight adjustment period where I have to figure out how I do this, because I don't think it's going to be that bad. I feel like I'm going to, if I say got this job, it'd be work, come home from work, do my other work, which is daunting, but also I do love like having that, all that to do, and it's fun and getting to do that drive. I think it will kill me slightly, but other than that, it's exciting process. Like most of the jobs I have applied for are mostly like part-time or like, you know, corporate, you know, big boy jobs, but like part-time or not, so I could like focus on this. But a couple of like full-time, I'm like, I haven't had that, but I have had that because I'm just stream of consciousnessing with y'all this one, so you've got to excuse me from maybe making no sense, but it's hard like talking. I'm like, this to me is both, you know, a passion and a love, but it is also a job. It is what I, you know, strive to do. So I consider this a job. I'm like, I don't know how other people consider this, and I'm like, I also work full-time / over full-time because like, you know, I try and upload every day. I've been streaming. I edit a lot. Like, I work on weekends. That is something I do. I spend all my, you know, Saturday mornings usually editing. You know, I spend 3 or 4 hours editing like the movie that I post for Saturday. Like Sunday, I'll like record. It's like those things. But then I'm like, how do other people? It's a really wild. Like, I never thought, like, obviously this is something I've always wanted to do, but I never thought how, like, in-depth social media actually goes and how wild it can. It's a very interesting, I don't know, someone needs to, like, write a random book, because I love it when my phone runs out of storage and then cuts me off and then I forget exactly what I was saying. But I think I was probably on some spiel tangent that actually probably didn't make sense. Basically, job interview, scary, excited, balancing a work life, but like a lot of people on earth work like multiple jobs, 2-3 jobs even. So I think there'll be a small adjusting period, but other than that, I'm hoping to keep this up absolutely full force, which is like exciting because obviously I don't plan to stop. There is a part of me that's like, if I actually have a job that I make a living wage in, maybe I hire an editor. That's a thing that could be help. I don't even know how that like works. There's so many like things going for it. It's an exciting time because obviously something's going to change like eventually. What type of job I get depends, because I've applied for a lot of different things and that'll depends what changes, but it's going to be interesting. But other than that, what else has been going on? To do with that, because I'm interviewing for a professionally job, I actually was meant to text my hairdresser today, but I think I need a haircut. Because it's one of those things where I love my hair. I know some of y'all like my hair. I get a compliment every now and again, and I thank anyone who has ever complimented my hair. I love it too, but it's at that, like, it's one of those things where even though it's a bit wild at the moment, on camera, it looks, I like what it looks like, but I get to be really like, I get to, you know, have it the way I want it. It's very front on. I have good lighting. I can kind of style it. But in like real life, when you can kind of see the back and it's all messy, or when I get up, sometimes it's wild. So getting a bit, like, I'm not completely changing it, but just getting a little bit shorter, you know, a little bit thinned out and shaped so it's not as wild all the time could be a good thing. And it's one of those things where maybe I should try and look a little bit more professional, more like, you know, less scruffy, because the hair gets a bit wild sometimes. It hurts me every time, but again, it grows back. It's gonna grow back. It's gonna be fine. But I don't know. I think I just want to like slightly, you know, just like go back to like a couple of months ago where it wasn't as long. I don't know what's going on with my phone today. It's, again, wild that I film off my phone, but again, maybe if I get that job I was talking about, I buy a better camera, because at the moment it's been temperamental. It's like, you don't have storage. I was like, I do. I was like, I at least have like 70 gigs. I was like, I've seen it. I've checked for in the storage. So stop, because it goes, you're full. I'm like, I'm not full. I was like, I'll fight you on this one. But yeah, speaking of where we were on the haircut, I just feel like getting a little bit of a change, a little bit of a thing might just make me a little bit more professional ready. Also, you want to put like your best foot forward. Longer hair for me, I feel like if I had a hair team, my hair would look lovely. I don't know how to do my own hair, and it's really hard. I have figured out a way for it to look like fine on camera. Like I like the way it looks, but like in life, I feel like I'm walking around just like absolute hair frizzy, everything's vibing. It's a wild experience. I don't know, long hair, I'd say like these bits, I don't put the commitment in, and that is maybe something I need to deal with. But that is my problem, and I don't deal with it, which is okay. But we might get a little bit of a haircut. So if you see me in the next video, and this is my one explaining it, even though I'll probably mention it like 1,000 times, I'll be like, new hair feels weird. But I don't know, I put such like, I don't know if anyone else like feels this, but having longer hair, I feel like you put so much more, it's so much like bigger deal getting a haircut. Whereas when I had short hair, you'd be like, yeah, like just cut it off. Like it doesn't matter. Like I used to have very short hair for a lot of my life. I like the longer hair vibe, but God, there are benefits to short hair. Is so easy. It's so easy to deal with. It's so easy to style. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Or if I procrastinate out of actually going to the hairdresser. The only other thing, I had a couple more things to talk for. Just like general life stuff and fun stuff. So I've been living alone for like probably, has it been a month? It couldn't have been a month. That's crazy to me, but it might have been a month. Living alone is an interesting thing because I do love it. I love it and enjoy it. I miss who I used to live with, one of my best friends. I still get to see him all the time, but you know, that's a whole chapter over, which is sad, but living alone has like its benefits. As I say, it helps me recharge for my social interaction as an ambivert because I get my alone time. Also, I get to talk to y'all all the time, so I never like feel lonely. I get to, you know, film, and we get to, you know, watch movies and TV shows together and podcasts and book club together. So that really doesn't, like, my parents were really worried. They're like, you'll live alone, you'll be like, you'll never see it. I was like, I get to talk to all these people all the time and we have a great time. So I was like, we will be fine. But one of the things I haven't been able to get used to is shopping and like meal prepping and cooking for one. I have been, because I did a lot of cooking at my last place for me and my housemate. So I'm like very used to cooking for two, like figuring things out for two. Everything is done for two. The first week of living alone, I ate so much food like accidentally because I was just cooking bigger things and I was like, what the hell? And like now I'm like, you know, everything I go and buy, I'm like, oh, I've got to remember it's just for one person. And everything's like, it's such a weird thing because buying for two, I'd be like, oh yes, we'll buy something more expensive, but we split it. But also I only get half, like it's that weird thing of like thinking it's cheaper, but you're still spending the same amount because you're splitting it with someone. And like, everything goes such a longer way when you buy it. Like, everything's more expensive, but it goes longer. Like, I'll be like, oh, I don't want to buy protein powder or toilet paper. I'm like, obviously I'm going to buy it. Sorry, toilet paper, I'm obviously going to buy. But I'm like, oh, I buy this giant pack and, it goes quicker. But then I realize I buy it once and it could last me like 2 years. Like, it's the craziest thing. Everything just like lasts longer. But I've also got to realize that, for certain things, I'm only cooking for one. That it is wild. Like, I like cook and I'll be like, what was the point of even like right now? I'm starting to buy and portion out things or cook in big batches and then like put them in the fridge. So I actually like have everything done. So I'm not cooking, because cooking a meal for yourself just like every time and one time is wild. Like, doing everything just for like one plate of food, I'm like, I put in all this work and this is all I've got out. I'm like, it'll be over in a second. So I've been trying to like figure these things out. But it's just such a change, which is like fun and exciting. But those things are like, and like going grocery shopping, I'm like, what do I don't get to like talk about it with anyone or confer. I'm just like, I have to choose everything. Because we would do this thing where like we would both talk about what we want, or we'd order one of those like HelloFresh or something and do that. Or like I'd pick one meal, he'd pick one meal. And now it's very like, I have to choose every time. I was like, I don't care what I eat anymore. I just want it to be done. And it's such a funny thing that I'm like catching myself getting sick of it. I'm like, I just want it to be easy again. Maybe I should get back into box meals. But I think that they were good. I loved like when they just send you the stuff and the recipe and then you just cook it. It is so easy, but it's hard because it's not like meal prepped, so you can't really do it in like that big a batch. Some of them you can. But yeah, cooking is more like, now that I'm not doing it for someone else as well, I'm not like, oh yes, like we both need to eat dinner. It's like, I'm cooking for myself. Do I need to eat now or can I eat later? But then it's this is the most useless podcast. I'm sorry. I'm just jumping from topic to topic, but I'm like, oh, what do I eat? Can I eat? And then I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to the gym, but I need calories. Like, I want to, achieve these goals. And I just go in circles about everything. This is basically an insight into how my brain works. This whole podcast is just like wild Ethan brain time. But the only other topic I had written down, which comes up sometimes in different things, we're talking about reaction stuff. It's very what's going on this week talk. I get a comment every now and then that's like, oh, like, especially on shorts because they're a lot quicker, and they'll be like, oh, like that was a spoiler, or like, why'd you post that? Like, I didn't want to see this, or like, that spoiled it. What do y'all think about spoilers? Obviously, putting something in the comments of like something I'm watching, I'd be like upset if it was a spoiler, because I'm like, oh, don't spoil that. But there are some times where like a show comes out and like, or I'll put something in the thumbnail that might have been a spoiler. How long do you think from something comes out to when it's posted is it a spoiler? Because there are certain times where I'm like, I never know what to do, or like I'm very like, I try and avoid spoilers at all costs, but I feel like I know how to do it. Because like a couple of thumbnails, people are like, oh, that's a spoiler. And I'm like, intrinsically, I know when I see something for something I watch, when I know something new comes out, as soon as I look at it, I know to look away and scroll away. But I guess maybe that's not the thought process of everyone. And I try obviously not to put any spoilers out there. But it's hard sometimes, especially when shows are old and I put them up and people think it's a spoiler. You're like, oh, like, I'm sorry. I thought I'm late to this party. I didn't think anyone else would be like, still watching it. And then you kind of feel bad, but it's this like give and take of like at what point should it be a spoiler, or like, should someone have watched it? And you don't want to like ruin things for anyone, but you're like, has it gone past it? And for YouTube Shorts, it's a whole different thing, because I'm like, oh, if it's spoiling something, I feel like as soon as I see a YouTube short of like a show or something about a show I know, if I know it possibly could be spoilery, or I know something's new about it, I just scroll straight away. I'm like, do certain people just watch the whole thing and then tell me that I've spoiled it for them, even though they've watched the whole thing? But it's just one of those things where I like, spoilers are the worst, but I'm like, sorry, I just knocked something off the table. I'm like, at what point is it, it was something I've wanted to talk about for a while. I don't know how to articulate it, and I know I'm not doing a good job. But you're kind of like, am I spoiling things, or is it like far enough away that or people should know to, and you don't want to like put blame on anyone else if you've done something that's, it's not the worst thing in the world. I didn't kill anyone. It's just a spoiler. But like, you don't want to be like, oh, that's your fault. But it's that fine line sort of thing. So I just want to put it out there, see what y'all think, because like this is our fun time to chat. Like, this is how good me getting to check in with you. I'm having a conversation with my friends. I'm talking to you like I'm talking to anyone else. I'm like, what do you think? What do y'all think about these things? It's hard for what I do because some people, when you post things and reactions in fandoms, everyone's watched everything as soon as it comes out, and you're not spoiling it for them. But then some people, it's like, are slower, have busy lives, they can't get to things, and then you kind of think about like what thumbnail has to work best. It's a whole like realm, and I think it's very like interesting and complex. So do let me know what you think. It's not the biggest deal. I'd prefer, but yeah, I just think it's so weird and interesting, and I don't know. I think everything's weird and interesting, but I'm just I did ever since I feel like I did anthropology at university, and I know anthropology is a study of human culture, and that doesn't dive too deep into this, but I feel like that opened my mind, that degree I did, of like really like questioning and looking into everything. I like to like fully take everything in, look at both sides, like look at things like holistically, and just try and like understand it, have no bias, and just look at everything from every different angle. So that's why every time I say, oh, that's so interesting, I really do mean it. I feel like I say it a lot, and it just sounds like I'm like using filler words, but I love to just look at everything, even like mundane and boring things like spoilers, because I just love like picking things apart, analyzing them, kind of seeing the world surrounding it and how people view things. I think it's so interesting. Yeah, I did anthropology and psychology at university. Questioning things are kind of my bread and butter. Maybe not understanding them and sounding smart about things, but that's something I love to do. I love to just pick the most random things apart and just kind of overthink. I love to overthink things, both when I'm having a freak out, but also just in general. It's such a fun thing to do, and it's just, I don't know, it's a thing I do too much, but I want to put that out there to explain to you why I'm always like, interesting. Let's talk about this random boring thing for 20 minutes because I want to think more about it. But I think if you're here, if you've made it to episode 19 or whatever we're on, I think you're looking past the crazy way I think about things. So I thank you for that. And we just get to have this fun chat, and you get to hear the bigger questions that I'm asking about life. But yeah, that's really all from me this week. It's been a slow week, but after this week, I'll hopefully let you know. Also, I was like, I'll let you know how my job interview goes. I'm like, I did put this is on my CV. I didn't put any links, but I was like, what if they watch? I don't want to like throw. It's not like I'm going to say anything bad about anyone. But I'm just like, I'll probably let y'all know how it goes, and hopefully, I don't know, something crazy will happen, or we'll have good things to talk about next week. Also, let me know. Again, I love to, if y'all have any questions about me or things or life or things you'd like me to talk about in anything random or pointed or something, do let me know. Can't make any promises, but I love to know if y'all would like to hear anything about anything that I could possibly talk about. Obviously, I'm not the smartest person in the world, so it can't be too in-depth about things, but anything you want to hear about, have questions about, let me know, because I love to actually have some points to talk about, because or else we run rampant like we have this week. But I do thank you for letting me run rampant every now and then. But other than that, I hope you have enjoyed this fucking wild ride and having a great day. And I hope to see you in the next one.